This week we're looking at creating visual focus in a composition, specifically how to draw the eye to specific areas of your website design. Visual focus catches attention and stimulates the viewer, creating visual satisfaction. In a website design, it's used to draw the eye to items of importance or to calls to action. As a general rule, a focal point is formed where one element differs from others in the design. It could be where all the elements are small and one big element is included, where all the elements are dark and one is bright, where the elements are vertical and one intersects as a horizontal line. There are nearly infinite possibilities and combinations for how you can include difference to create this focal point. Here's an example of the Netflix Australia website. The call to action is bright red and it stands out because it's different to everything else on the page. However, it balances with the large font of the heading on the page. So while the red button isn't the first thing that the viewer notices, there's a clear hierarchy of information drawing the viewer's eye down in steps. So you can see the large text is very different from everything else on the page. That draws the eye first. Then you've got the subtitle below it, and then you've got the red button. So normally red would stand out more than anything else, but here the size of the main heading is what stands out first. Focus can also come from a story you're telling, or it can be purely abstract. This is an example from the visual arts. In this image, The Peasant Wedding by Peter Bruegel the Elder, our eye is drawn to the figures in the foreground who are carrying the pies. The light, cool coloured blue tunic contrasts with the other warm colours in the painting. The figure is larger. In the narrative, it provides an obvious action and purpose. And here we have an example from the Chisholm website that uses a similar principle. It uses a number of elements to create focal points. First, we're drawn to the human figure. People like looking at people. And using the rule of thirds, he is positioned in a very strong place in the composition, in the left third of the page. He's also separated from the rest of the content with a fair amount of white space around him, emphasizing his importance. He's running across the page. The viewer's eye is drawn to the path he is running along. Where is he running to next? So the eye gets drawn along. Then the viewer sees the tradie's outfit running along on its own with the man chasing it down. There is a clear narrative at play in this design, and that helps draw the focus to the two characters, the man and the tradie's outfit. However, abstract images can also create focus using similar tools of colour, position, contrast, movement and size. In Gelb, Rot, Blau by Kandinsky, 1925, the eye is drawn to the yellow area of the painting first. However, the eye is not kept there as there are multiple focal points in this painting. A designer or artist is not limited to one focal point, and providing several can create visual interest by drawing the viewer's eye around the composition. This technique can be used in websites with a more abstract or geometric visual design. The most important elements should be warm and or bright, and perhaps even large to draw the eye first. Consider the placement of different colours, sizes, differences to create a focal point so that they draw the viewer's eye around the page in selected stages to help create an information hierarchy. Another way you can create this feeling of difference is through isolating the element. If you separate one element from the others, it looks like it doesn't belong to the group. This draws our eye to it. It must be done carefully, however, to ensure that an overall feeling of unity across your entire design still exists. The painting in this slide, The Surrender of Lord Cornwallis by John Trumbull, makes it very clear which figure we should be looking at. The repetition and proximity of the soldiers make them appear nearly as a single entity, whereas the isolation of Lord Cornwallis draws our gaze and shows that he is the most important figure in this painting. Isolation is a great tool in web design. Many websites use it, whether it's a figure standing on their own, as in this example from the Queensland Tourism website, drawing attention but also showing vast expanses of space, or if it's a call to action button that is positioned in a prime location with nothing around it to distract the viewer. Consider using isolation as a composition tool if the element is important but can also hold their own in the composition without being lost. By placing elements carefully to create a continuation of line, you can draw the eye to particular points in the composition. Radial designs, where the visual lines emerge from a central source, are an example. It can be obvious or it can be subtle, but it is important to note so that you don't work against it. If you have created a focal point through other means, then you don't want to accidentally create visual lines that draw the viewer's eyes away from that focus. In this photograph by Lisa Tarpley, the eye is drawn to the little child through the lines of the fence and the lines of the wooden planks on the ground. You can use lines to draw the eye in web design too. Here we can see the lines drawing the viewer's eye from the top left, where English speakers immediately look to start reading, down to the middle of the page where the title of the website is. The lines then lead the eye to the right side of the page, with additional secondary lines then drawing the eye right and left to the services and the products. This creates a clear hierarchy of where the eye needs to travel in sequence. It's easy to create a focal point through a contrasting element, but remember to show restraint. You need to keep an overall feeling of unity to your design, so you don't want your focus to be so different as to appear completely out of place. The focal point should never completely overwhelm the rest of the composition. It should create visual interest in the design, but not jeopardize the feeling of harmony completely.